Welcome everyone to Wizards Outlook. The Washington Wizards, a couple nights removed from getting a win to snap a very long losing streak, as we discussed during pregame. We fall to the Indiana Pacers tonight, 119-86. Going back to what was discussed during pregame, Cardell and I had a good chat. Cardell shared some keys to tonight's game. And in terms of the things that we were both worried about for Washington, a lot of those things came to fruition in this contest. Both teams came into this game with just 2 wins, and the Pacers would leave with their third this evening. Pascal Siakam led the charge with 24 points and 11 rebounds for the Pacers. He got 20 points from Benedict Mathurin as well. The Pacers took care of the ball for the most part. They shared it well, and they shot 52% from the floor, including 38% from deep. Washington struggled to take care of the ball, and outside of Alex Sarr, didn't get too much on the offensive end, especially not as a group. Sarr had 24 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. The Wizards bench, one of the few areas that has been strength or at least reliable for Washington this season. They've been producing well. They're one of the top 5 producing benches in the league. They had a rough night. 23 points isn't bad. It's below their standard, I would say, for what they've been most of this season. The Pacers bench, on the other hand, they would outscore the Wizards bench by 21 points. They finished with 44. There wasn't nearly enough resistance on the defensive end of the floor, and that's what Cardell was talking about leading into this one. One of the things he felt they had to take care of was defending, period, just defending, taking care of things on both ends of the floor, and they did it. It was kind of like a slow bleed, but by the half, Indiana had a 12-point lead, I believe, and they were just able to sustain it. And the difference would be Indiana did a better job in terms of taking care of the ball, well, at least not giving up. Washington didn't do a good enough job making Indiana pay for the mistakes, where Indiana did a great job making Washington pay for theirs. As far as the turnovers went, Washington conceded 21 points off their turnovers. Indiana just conceded 9. For Siakam, going back to that defensive resistance, Cardell also made it a point to mention that one of the things Indiana does do well is get to the line. They only shot 13 free throws. So for them to have the type of output they had, the production offensively, it was more about what Washington didn't do on that end of the floor, right? Siakam, who makes a living getting downhill, loves to create contact on the offensive end. He attempted just 2 free throws, which, again, is a bit of an indictment on that pressure, the lack thereof from Washington's defense. Siakam scored 17 of his 24 in that first half. Cardell mentioned also another thing that was mentioned was not letting guys who haven't routinely been factors for teams have big nights, right? And I brought the example just like the cautionary tale. We're thinking about Dennis Jenkins with Detroit or whatnot. And Washington, again, just an opportunity to put together a streak was lost tonight, obviously. We've been talking about defense all season long, so I'm not going to make too big finish you there. But for Indiana to talk about what they did, at least defensively, right? Washington shot just 39% from the floor, 22% from deep, and 65% from the line. It's extremely difficult to win like that. Indiana gave up just, 34 points in the second half? That's it. So again, credit to Indiana for that, but just 34 points. All they surrendered this evening in the second half, which Washington has shown they're able to, they've been capable of scoring the ball this season. 34 points and a half that's just not going to cut it. CJ had come off that big game. before the holiday. Just 11 tonight. Bali with 11. Keyshawn George, 27 minutes, had a bit of a rough night. And this is another one of those, those games mentioned at different times this season where not one person was not even. If we're talking about the plus minus, no one can even get back to even. It was just a truly rough night. Up next for Washington, they get a couple days to get themselves together, and they start next week with a back-to-back. The first of which is they're hosting Milwaukee on Monday night, and then Tuesday they'll be on the road in Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. Player of the game, I mentioned him several times already, going to go Pascal Siakam. Feel like that was the easy choice. 24 points, does 11 rebounds, 17 of those 24 in the first half. Did a great job leading his troops to get their third win of the season. X Factor, G.J. McConnell. He gave his team great minutes. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and just 1 turnover in 19 minutes of play. He played a huge role into why their bench was so productive this evening. That's the guy leading that second group. 14, 4, 8, and just 1 turnover in 19 minutes. He exceeded his expectations on the evening. But for Washington, another disappointing loss. And again, a couple of days, and then they'll be hosting Giannis and company on Monday. So we will talk with you guys then. And we'll see you guys Monday for Wizards pregame.